Welcome back to the channel, and to all 38 of my loyal subscribers, you noticed something different. The channel name has officially changed to Cars from Africa. After taking some time to reflect, I felt the name should better represent what this channel is truly about. Cars from an African's perspective, and ultimately, Cars for Africa. Now don't worry, I still plan to use the initial D name for certain segments, especially car reviews. As the channel grows, other types of content will branch off and get their own dedicated names and styles. But for now, this is the new direction, and I'm excited for what's ahead. But I won't waste any more of your time because that's not what you're here for. The Toyota Aqua, that's what you're here for. Before we get into the full review, just a quick heads up. The Toyota Aqua you're seeing here is actually for sale. If you're interested in it or looking for something similar, feel free to reach out to the number on the screen. The seller has a wide range of vehicles to suit all kinds of needs. Whether you're after something fuel efficient like this, something bigger for the family, or even a workhorse for your business, they've got you covered. Now, Aqua is Latin for water, and in other markets this car is known as the Toyota Prius C. It carries the Prius name because it's based on the standard Prius liftback platform. The C stands for city because the model is smaller, more compact, and made to navigate tight parking spots and congested urban streets with ease. When I first saw the Aqua, the design reminded me of the Lexus IS XC20 generation, a car I recently reviewed. That's because both vehicles kind of share Lexus's L-finesse design language. It makes sense. Toyota and Lexus are sister brands and often share parts, platforms, and design teams. Think about it, just as the Land Cruiser 300 is also the Lexus LX, or the Toyota Harrier is basically a Lexus RX, the Aqua also likely benefited from the Lexus DNA. I would wager that some of the designers behind the IS XC20 had a hand in the Aqua's looks, especially with elements such as the clamshell hood and headlight packaging. From the front, the Aqua has a sort of bird-like face, round beady headlights, and a grille that could pass off as a bird's beak. The lower fog light design reminds me of the IS XC22, but flipped vertically and exaggerated. Across the first generation, they almost looked the same with a few minor differences. Earlier models had painted grills. The first facelift swapped things out for a blacked out grille. The second facelift stretched things out a bit more, and the fog lights changed slightly with each iteration, but the overall design stayed consistent. It seems like Toyota wanted it to look aggressive to appeal to younger buyers, kind of like a baby Toyota 86 of the same generation. But instead of looking fierce, it ended up looking like an angry little bird. Cute, but not intimidating. From the side, it honestly looks like a sideways egg. Nothing much to shout about. The lower body is sculpted, probably for aerodynamics. But one standout feature, the tail lights. They're large, bold, and look like they're jutting out of the bodywork. They wrap around the back in a way that's almost dramatic. Some might say it's a bit excessive. Why should a car this small need tail lights that big? But hey, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Let's move around to the back. And just like the front, the rear lights also went through a bit of an evolution across the different versions of the first generation. The earlier models had a sort of circular inlay design, kind of playful. Then with the second facelift, Toyota changed things up. Those circles became two more distinct abstract lines, probably trying to resonate with millennials and the younger crowd. And with the final facelift, the taillights kind of grew horns. Not literal horns, but you'll see what I mean. They have these pointed extensions at the top that give the rear a slightly more aggressive look. But what's interesting is the overall shape of the taillight housing never really changed. All these updates happened within the same frame, so while the internals evolved, the actual structure stayed the same throughout. Up top, there's a spoiler for better aerodynamics and a shark fin antenna. Down below, the bumper has some girth to it, much like the IS XC20, just squared off this time. Moving into the interior, my initial impression is that it looks very economical. The first thing that catches your attention is the center-mounted driver's instrument cluster. It shows you your current speed, fuel level, fuel consumption, and the time. Off to the far right, you'll find the warning lights. I was genuinely surprised to see this display still in use. The first time I saw it was in an early 2000s Toyota Vitz, and it's more or less the exact same design still being used today. It was innovative back then, tolerable to some like me who like to see the traditional gauge cluster with the revs on display, but to see it unchanged in a modern car, a bit shocking. But I do have to admit that there is something novel about it, and I grew to like it as I spent more time with the car. I guess that's one way Toyota keeps costs down. Beyond that, the extensive use of plastic stands out. Toyota has tried to make things interesting by layering the dashboard and adding a bluish-purplish trim that starts from the passenger side and partially wraps around the infotainment and climate control section. That same texture of trim is found throughout the cabin, but in black. On the door panels, the center console, and other bits and pieces, working alongside the contrasting seat colors embedded with subtle circular patterns. The infotainment system is basic, pretty much what you'd expect from a car of this era. Though it might vary slightly depending on the trim level. The climate control layout is also fairly typical for its time. Simple, functional, and easy to use. Further down we've got small cup holders, a standard glove box on the passenger side. To the driver's left, basic controls for mirrors, headlights, and a few blanked out switches for features this specific car isn't equipped with. The gear selector is nothing special, and the steering wheel is fairly standard too, with a few buttons to control the infotainment systems. It's also worth noting that the interior features can vary quite a bit depending on the model year, original trim level, and even special edition variants. So if you're in the market for one, definitely pay close attention to what you're getting. During my research, I came across a few older models that actually came with manual rear windows, which, let's be honest, isn't exactly ideal in today's world. Thankfully, the one I have here is relatively well equipped. It comes with automatic headlights, fog lights, rain sensing wipers, and keyless entry paired with auto folding mirrors. So while the interior might not be exciting, it can still be nicely spec'd out depending on the specific unit you're looking for. Moving to the back, it's a pretty standard affair for passengers. There's nothing much going on, just seats and relatively large windows which let in more light and help the space feel a little less claustrophobic. One good thing about these seats is that they fold down easily. Just pull on this knob over here. Also, the seat belts clip into the holders, keeping them tucked away neatly out of the way. A nice thoughtful touch. With the seats folded down, let's see how many of these yellow crates we can fit inside. Remember, each crate measures 62 centimeters in length, 32 centimeters in width, and 32 centimeters in height. Now, there's a bit of a compromise back here. When you fold down the seats, the floor isn't flat, unlike what you might find in other hatchbacks. That's mainly due to the placement of the hybrid battery, which sits under the rear seats. As a result, there's a noticeable hump between the boot floor and the folded down seats, which limits how easily you can fit in larger or longer items. Still, with the seats folded down, the Aqua manages to fit 4 of the yellow crates, which is on par with other vehicles in its class. With the seats folded up, the boot can accommodate 1 crate with a bit of extra space left over to the side. So you're not entirely short on room, but it's clear that cargo space isn't this car's strongest feature. I can't help but wonder if Toyota really should have done more to make this interior exciting. But then again, did they even need to? Because here's the thing, the Toyota Aqua is one of Toyota's most successful models in terms of sales. And my suspicion is that it's because it ticks the 3 big boxes most people care about. It's cheap, it's reliable, and it's fuel efficient. In fact, the Toyota Aqua is considered the most successful nameplate launch in Japan in the last 20 years. As of January 2017, Toyota has sold around 1.38 million units worldwide, with Japan accounting for over 1.15 million of those. It was Japan's best-selling car for 3 consecutive years from 2013 to 2015. The 27 Prius C, which shares the same platform and powertrain, was rated at 4.9 liters per 100 kilometers in the city, 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers on the highway, and a combined 5.1 liters per 100 kilometers, making it the most fuel-efficient compact car of its time, excluding EVs, of course. But what does this mean for us, especially here in Africa? Well, for starters, most if not all Aqua units you'll find on the market today are used imports, many from Japan. That means they're a bit older, and with any hybrid you'll be dealing with some degradation over time. The hybrid battery won't perform like it did brand new, and you probably won't hit those factory stated fuel economy numbers exactly. But you still come close. And close is still better than almost everything else on the road when it comes to fuel savings. Considering the rising cost of fuel, the stop-and-go traffic in our cities, and the inconsistent fuel quality in most regions, a small hybrid like this, the Aqua, actually makes a lot of sense. It's light on fuel, easy to park, and easy to drive in urban environments. So, who's this car really for? Well, I would say daily commuters in congested cities like Nairobi, Harare, or Lagos, where stop-and-go traffic is the norm and fuel economy really matters. University students and young professionals looking for an affordable, low-maintenance first car that won't burn a hole in their pockets. Families needing a reliable second car for school runs, errands, or weekend city driving. Ride-hailing drivers, your Uber, Bolts, etc., who drive all day and want to keep fuel and maintenance costs down. Courier or small businesses, NGOs and non-profits, SMEs or entrepreneurs want a reliable vehicle for client visits, stock pickups, or city deliveries without high operating costs of traditional sedans or hatchbacks. Fleet managers or company buyers looking to cut down long-term fuel and service expenses. It's not going to blow you away with features, power, or prestige, but it will save you money at the pump, and it will get you from A to B with minimal drama. And in many parts of Africa, that's exactly what we need. Now, here are 3 things to look out for if you're thinking of buying one of these. The 12-volt battery system. This smaller battery is separate from the hybrid system, but it's still important. If it fails, you could run into electrical issues or even have trouble starting the car. It's a common issue that's often overlooked during inspections. Hybrid battery degradation is the second thing to look out for. While Toyota hybrid systems are known for their reliability, the hybrid battery can lose efficiency over time, especially on higher mileage cars. This can lead to a drop in performance and fuel economy. Hybrid battery replacement costs. That's the third thing to look out for. Although hybrid battery failures are rare, when they do happen, they can be expensive to replace, especially here in Zimbabwe. As you see when I scroll through Facebook Marketplace, prices for a replacement battery range anywhere from 700 to 1,200 depending on the condition and the seller as well. So it's definitely something to factor into your budget when considering a used one. Definitely make sure that the hybrid battery is in good condition. If you're in the market for something like a Toyota Aqua, there are a few options you might want to consider as well. Cars like the Nissan March, though I'm not a huge fan of the styling of this car, the Nissan Note, the Honda Fit, and even the Toyota Vitz, which essentially is the non-hybrid version of the Aqua. All are solid options and alternatives depending on your needs and budget. Alright, driving the Toyota Prius C. I'll be honest, going into this, I was ready to rip this car a new one. I thought I already knew what it would be like. I've driven two other Toyota hatchbacks before, a late model first gen Toyota Vitz and a Toyota Passo, and I figured same manufacturer, same segment, it's gotta feel more or less the same. But driving the Aqua, I was pleasantly surprised by just how much more substantial it feels compared to those other cars. I expected it to feel flimsy, a bit dull, but honestly, the whole package feels like it's been put together with a bit more care. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not about to say it feels super refined. It's still a basic car, but for what it is, it's better than expected. Now one thing you have to brace yourself for is how the car behaves when starting up. Sometimes it starts in EV mode, other times the engine kicks in straight away. It all depends on the battery state. Occasionally there's a short delay, probably the system prepping the batteries, and then it fires up. When you're in EV mode, it won't let you go past 40 kilometers. And sometimes it asks you to lift off the throttle if you hit the limit. But for slow speed stuff like reverse parking or creeping in traffic, EV mode is a huge win for fuel efficiency. And in stop and go traffic, the car will likely shut the engine off completely and rely on electric power, and that's where this car really shines. I didn't get a chance to push it too hard since this is a car that's up for sale and I wanted to respect that. So I didn't drive it the way I would my own MPV. That said, I did take it around a roundabout and the body roll was not as bad as I expected. It handles corners decently for what it is. Now steering feel, this is where things get a little weird. It's better than I expected, but not exactly sharp. It's fairly responsive, not numb like I thought it would be, but the feel isn't amazing. It's not as dialed in as something like a Honda Fit. Still, it's light and easy to maneuver, especially around town, and for a small car like this, that's exactly what you want. Acceleration though? Yeah, this car does not want to move. When you floor it, it feels like there's something physically holding the throttle back. It's like there's a piece of plastic stopping your foot from going all the way down. It's just reluctant, but I assume that's intentional. This is a hybrid after all, designed to save fuel, not burn rubber. So yeah, it's sluggish. It'll get you up to speed eventually, and it's okay for light overtaking, but don't expect it to feel punchy. If you're in a rush, this is not your car. There's no sports mode, or at least not in this particular unit. Other trims might have it, but I doubt it changes much. The transmission feels a bit groggy, if that makes sense. It definitely is a CVT, and you can feel it doing its thing. It's not very smooth, not as seamless as what I experienced in my old car, 2010 Honda Fit. That CVT felt more refined, more in sync with the engine. Here you can tell the CVT is working to find the right ratio, but it never quite feels natural. Still, it gets the job done, and most people probably won't notice or care, especially if you're not the type to drive hard. One area where I was really surprised, braking. I thought it would be more grabby or weird, especially with the regenerative braking system, but it's actually really well sorted. The brakes feel firm, they inspire confidence, and they don't really feel overly sensitive. The regen system isn't even noticeable most of the time. You'll probably only pick it up if you are looking at the battery flow screen. Otherwise, it just stops like a normal car, which is a good thing. Visibility is great. Big windows all around, and while the rear pillars are a bit thick, it's nothing to worry about, especially since most of these cars come with a backup camera anyway. Cabin noise though, yeah, not great. There's a lot of road noise, especially because there's no load cover in the back. It feels a bit like a go-kart, like in that sense. Not super refined, but again, for a car in this category, that's to be expected. Overall, the car feels balanced. The suspension, though firm, feels sorted. It's not floaty or unpredictable. Again, I didn't push it too hard, but even at moderate speeds though, corners felt pleasant enough. So in the end, the Toyota Aqua isn't trying to wow you with performance or luxury. It's here to do a job. It's cheap to run, easy to maintain, and incredibly fuel efficient, which in the African context makes it a really smart buy, especially for the city use and daily commuting. It's not perfect, the boot space is compromised. It's not quick, the interior feels basic, but if you go in with the right expectations, it's a solid no-nonsense car. For anyone looking to save on fuel without sacrificing reliability, the Aqua is the practical choice that just makes sense.
Initial D.